Okay, we're going to talk about Math 5-4. Okay, first of all, you should have 3 books and a CD or thumb drive. So I want you to, if you don't have your books, go get them right now and go ahead and press pause. Okay, now that we all have our books, you should have one that's thicker than the rest that's called the lesson manual. You should have one that's called tests and worksheets, and you should have one that says solutions manual, and you should have a lesson CD or thumb drive. Hopefully by now you put that in your computer and you've actually clicked on lesson and tried to play maybe lesson 1, because sometimes they don't copyright, and if it doesn't work, we need to get you a new one so that you can start the year with all the lessons taught. So if you are missing one of these, please make sure you let me know as soon as this video is done. Okay, we're going to use each of these every day. So they're going to need to be kept in an open and easily accessible spot. And I'm going to go through and show you how a typical math lesson is going to go. And I have one right here. And I'm actually just jumping to lesson 3 just because it's one that I have scanned. So lesson 3, every lesson starts with a warm-up. Okay, and the warm-up consists of fact practice. Now this is something that the kids must do every day. This part is optional. Depending on your son or daughter's math proficiency level, you might want to do some of it, you might want to do all of it. It's up to you. But the fact practice, unless I've stated differently, is they need to do. The fact practice, it's kind of confusing because it doesn't give you any information of where this fact practice is. This is in the tests and worksheets book. Okay, so I want you to go to your tests and worksheets book right now. And I want you to flip. Probably you're going to have to go a couple pages in because we haven't done 1 or 2 yet. And you see here it says to do 100 addition facts test A. And there's a bunch of them, and a lot of them are the same. And so 100 addition facts test A, and it says really small here, for use with lesson 3. So you know that you're in the right spot. The standard for these is that the students can complete them in 5 minutes. If your student does not get at 5 minutes, wherever they get, I want you to just put a mark. Okay, so then I know how far they got in 5 minutes. I would like them to try to finish the rest because it's good practice. And then at the end of the first week, I'll be able to see who needs some maybe different or more work with their addition facts or subtraction facts or multiplication facts or division facts, whatever the practice may be that week. That will give me a clue of who needs some extra support in that area. And a lot of times kids do in the beginning of the year. So let's get back to our lesson. So we've completed the fact practice and maybe the rest of the warm-up, maybe not. There are answers for the mental math for all the rest of the warm-up in the solutions manual. Okay, new concepts. This is the same part as the lesson in our last Saxon 3. So those of you who were with us last year, the new concepts part is the same as the lesson part. This is the exciting part. This part is taught for you this year. So you can read through this lesson. It's usually 2 or 3 pages if you would like, but you do not have to. This is where your CD comes in handy. I suggest you put your CD in your computer and just leave it there because your kiddos are going to use it almost every day. So there's an introduction. You're free to watch that. It has some really good information about the math professor that teaches on this CD. As for when to do the assignments, you can ignore that part because I'll tell you that, but it has some good information. The kids definitely are going to want to become familiar with the play button, the pause button, the stop button, and the scroll bar. So if they need to hear something again, they can just scroll back. There are going to be times when he's working a problem, and if he's working a problem, they need to be working that same problem in their math notebook. And that's why I sent you an email saying, please have a math notebook for them. So I would like them, when this CD comes out, their math notebook comes out, it's open, they write L1 or lesson 1 on the page, and then they listen to him. And when he starts to work a problem, they work the same problem in that same area. So in order to do that, they're going to need to use the pause button because they're not going to be able to write and listen at the same time. So that is something that I'm going to add this year that's going to be different. So they will go ahead and do that. In order to start the lesson, you just click on the lesson and it will start. They shouldn't be that long. They're usually about 8 minutes. So if you see, this one is 8 minutes. So that's not very long. So even with working the problems, the kids are probably going to spend 12 minutes at most on this. So that's 5 minutes on their fact sheet, 12 minutes on the actual lesson, maybe 15. So they're up to 20 minutes at this point. So let's go back to our math paper here. So they've listened to their CD, they've done their math facts. They practiced in their notebook with some of the problems that Dr. Scorman has done. The lesson manual also gives them some separate problems. So they can also do these in their notebook. And I would love to see them do that. If they really understand it, I'm not going to make them, but I think it's a really good practice to do because the lesson for the assignment for the day is only going to have a couple of the new learnings. So I would really like to see them do these practice sets. And as we get into the year, as it gets harder, I will mandate that they are done. In the beginning, it's kind of simple, so they may want to try a couple, but something to think about. All right, so after they're done with that, this is the actual homework, if you will, for the day. This is going to be the bulk of where they spend their time. There are 26 problems each day. In the beginning of the year, just to kind of get out the cobwebs, we're going to go ahead and do them all. As the year goes on, you can check in blackboards, and some weeks I might say evens, some weeks I might say odds, some weeks I'll put just 1 through 10 or a couple, and certainly sometimes we'll do them all. So there'll be a mix in there. So they're going to need to watch their blackboard. But this is different. They will not write in this book. They may write on the fact that the worksheets they pull out, the tests they pull out, they can write on. In the lesson manual, they may not write. And I would like them to do their work on paper that looks very similar to this. So in the back of your tests and worksheets book, you'll find a recording form C. I don't know what exact page it's on, but it's somewhere in the back. You can pull this out and take it to a copy store and have them print the front and back, maybe 100, 115, and you'll have them for the whole year. If you do not want to do that, you may use notebook paper and add these lines in yourself. Some people do that. Some people make their own and then copy it. Some people write the lines every day. It's completely up to you. All I'm going to say is it needs to look like this. There needs to be either 12 or 15 problems on a side. They need to be broken into neat boxes, and they need to be numbered. Then the kids will go ahead and they will do their work in these spaces. So if you have your lesson manual open to page 3, or it's not, lesson 3, page 11, if you look at the first problem, and this is what the kids will do. They'll have their paper out, they'll have their lesson manual out, and they'll read the first problem, and they'll say, Blanca has $5, Susan has $6, Britt has $7. Altogether, how much money do the 3 girls have? So they're going to do their problem. They must show their work if it's a problem that has work to show. That way, if there is a mistake, I know and you know what they did, and they know because they're going to have to correct it. So we have 0 plus 0 plus 0, same, decimal, 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 bring it down, and 11 plus 7 is 18. The answer is $18. Okay, and we're going to circle the answer. So it's easy for us to go back and check. Number 2, on William's favorite CD, there are 9 songs. On his next favorite CD, there are 8 songs. Altogether, how many songs are on William's favorite 2 CDs? So that's 8. I know altogether means plus, so that's 9. So we're going to have 17, and this is a word problem. So I'm going to put songs. Okay, and then I'm going to circle it. I'm going to do that for all the rest of these. Oop, and I also forgot. They need to put what lesson number it is up there. So when they're all done, you're going to take your solutions manual. And if you open your solutions manual right now, you'll see that it says lesson 1 warm up, lesson 1 lesson practice, lesson 1 mixed practice. So it gives you the answers for all portions of the lesson. But the one you're going to be correcting here is mixed practice. So you're going to go through and check it. And the big thing is every day. This will take 1 or 2 minutes, but it must be done every day. It cannot be done at the end of the week. Because when the students get one wrong, they're going to correct it that day, because they're likely going to see a problem very similar to that the next day. And if they don't correct it, then they're not going to know how to do it the next day, and they're going to make the same cycle of mistakes. So that is something that I would like. It's a must. They must correct their work every day. So at the top, you're going to put -0, or -1, or whatever the answer is. There's still going to be the X there, so I know which one they mixed, and then they're just going to correct it somewhere off to the side. And then that's math. So I'm going to do a quick recap. They're going to need to start their lesson with the fact practice that's listed in the warm-up. The rest of the warm-up is optional. And the fact practice should take 5 minutes or less. They're going to watch their CD with their notebook open. They're going to list the lesson number, so lesson 1 or lesson 2 or lesson 3. They're going to use it to work the problems that the professor will give them. Should take not very long. Then they're going to come back to the lesson manual, and they're going to look at the practice problems. And if they or you feel like like them to just even mentally work a few more, or work them in the notebook a few more, you can use the solutions manual to check them if you want. Then they're going to go on to their mixed practice with their special paper. They're going to show all their work in the correct square for what number it is. And then you're going to, when you're done, correct it with the solutions manual. They're going to correct their mistakes, and then they're going to be done. So math is going to take at least an hour each day. So I'm thinking it shouldn't take more than an hour, but it will probably be close. In the beginning of the year, it'll be less here, but definitely budget your time for that. One other thing I want to note is that let's see. Do you see these numbers right here? I could probably make these bigger. These tell you what lesson the concept was taught in. So this concept was taught in lesson 1, and this one was taught in lesson 3. So if your student gets to, especially as they get on in the year, and there's more and more of these, they're different. Whatever this says, if they come to you and say, I don't know how to do number 4, you can look at this number in parentheses and say, well, that was taught in lesson 3. So you can either go back in the lesson manual to lesson 3 and see what the lesson was, or you can go to your CD and click on lesson 3 and just listen or kind of scan through here on the bottom to see how to do that problem. And again, a lot of times that's just a quick reminder is all that they need. So that is one tip. Another tip is when we get to tests, you will do 10 lessons. Okay. Then you will do an investigation, which is just kind of something special and different, and we'll talk about it when we get to those. And then you will do a test. Okay. After the first 10 lessons, you will have a test every 5 lessons. The book doesn't tell you this. You just need to watch for it in Blackboard. So I will list in Blackboard what you need to accomplish every day in math. So for this week, it is lessons 1 through 4. Now, in probably week 3, I'm going to say lessons 9, 10, 11, and test 1. Test 1 you're going to get out of your tests and worksheets book, and you'll open it up. It's right in the middle. I usually put a sticky note where it starts so you can go there every time. And it'll say test 1. You'll pull out test 1. The kids will do that. Or we may take our test online I haven't decided yet, but by the time we get there, we will know. So the tests are not in your lesson manual. I guess that's the takeaway from this. So I'm going to go over this briefly again on our beginning of the year call. But if you have any questions, just let me know.